How did Lincoln's suspension of habeas corpus work? Have you ever wondered how a president can temporarily set aside certain rights during a national crisis? During the American Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln made a significant decision regarding the writ of habeas corpus. This legal procedure protects individuals from being held without just cause or without being presented before a court. By suspending this right, Lincoln aimed to maintain order and support the Union's war efforts. Lincoln first took this step in 1861, shortly after the war began. He wanted to ensure that public order was upheld and that troops could be mobilized effectively. This meant that military authorities were given the power to arrest individuals suspected of disloyalty or aiding the Confederacy. This included members of the Copperheads, who were Northern Democrats that sympathized with the South. They often resisted the draft and discouraged enlistments, which Lincoln viewed as a threat to the Union. The suspension of habeas corpus meant that courts could not demand the releases of those detained. This effectively allowed military arrests without the usual judicial process. In September 1862, Lincoln issued a formal proclamation that imposed martial law and suspended habeas corpus nationwide for the duration of the rebellion. This proclamation stated that all rebels and their supporters were subject to military law and could be tried by military courts. Interestingly, Congress did not immediately authorize this suspension. It was not until March 3, 1863, that Congress passed the Habeas Corpus Suspension Act. This act formally granted Lincoln the power to suspend habeas corpus during the rebellion. It also provided legal protection for him and his officials for actions taken before Congress approved the suspension. Lincoln signed this act into law, allowing him to continue suspending habeas corpus as needed. The main goal of this suspension was to prevent Confederate sympathizers and dissenters from undermining the Union's war efforts. It allowed the government to detain individuals without trial if they were deemed a threat to public safety or military operations. However, it was understood that this suspension would be temporary. The right would be restored once the rebellion ended or when Lincoln decided it was no longer necessary. In essence, Lincoln's suspension of habeas corpus worked by temporarily removing the right of detainees to challenge their imprisonment in court. This enabled military authorities to arrest and hold suspected enemies of the Union without immediate judicial oversight. While this measure was seen as necessary during wartime, it raised important questions about civil liberties and the balance of power during a national crisis.